Hey guys, welcome to Malukah episode 3. My name is Malukah. I hope you're well. We have several things to talk about this week. There's a revelation that I am really happy with that I want to share. It's a bit of a convoluted story, but bear with me. It all starts with yesterday evening that I sat down to make a list of bullet points for each of the days of the week, just the main activities, so that I could try to remember what happened and think of what we could talk about today. And I realized that I remembered what I did Sunday, Saturday, Friday, and then Thursday started getting a little hazy. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I really could not remember any details. And it felt almost scary because it wasn't that long ago. How could I not remember? And so I looked through my phone because the pictures are timestamped. And then I was able to fill in the blanks a bit here and there. And so it just made me realize that I'm not paying attention as much as I should, I think, to every day, just because it's so easy to get caught up in routine and stuff, and it just blends one day into the next. And I feel I'm not living life right when that happens. I remember feeling like this once before, a few years ago, and what I ended up doing for several months is that I kept a journal of daily bullet points of just the activities that I was doing. Like, for example, today I had breakfast at 8:30 in the morning, and then I took Thor to the park, and then I did a bit of work on this and things like that, just so that I could remember what the crap happened. And it did end up actually making me feel a bit better that it was proof that I was living, I was doing things, because it feels kind of scary to just have everything blend together so seamlessly that you can't tell one day from the next. And in this particular week, something really cool happened that shouldn't have blended into everything else. And that was that I had to spend, I got to spend an entire day with Dante. We were supposed to get to have help from the babysitter because we're on Easter vacation from the daycare. And a babysitter was supposed to show up in the morning to watch him for a few hours, and she had to cancel. And I realized that, okay, I won't be able to work. Let me spend the day with him and find all sorts of activities and just focus on hanging out with him and not think about work at all. And it was the most amazing day ever. Made me just appreciate that my kid is really cool and he's very nice and not just at a really fun stage right now. And it was a wonderful day, and I can't believe that when I sat down on Sunday to try to remember that happened on Tuesday, and I couldn't. And I'm glad that I had the pictures that made me remember. And what I did was I sent them from my phone to an app called Day One. It's a journaling app, and it's fantastic because if you took the pictures on Tuesday, it creates an entry for Tuesday for these pictures. And then you can just add a quick text if you want, or you can just keep the pictures as they are. And so I did that, and in this journal, I've done this several times where I go back and I find a picture of a really good day, and I send it to that journal with a little memory of that I want to make sure I don't forget. And so I'm glad that happened, and I'm glad I got to capture that feeling of sharing a really good day with my son. And by the way, we tried slimy sand. Holy crap, what a freaking mess. I had to give Dante a bath in the middle of the day because it just got crazy messy. But anyway, I digress. So in remembering this bullet journal daily log kind of a thing, I got curious, and so I searched for the notebook and found it. And I realized that I hadn't looked through it since I did this exercise years and years ago. And so that made me think of a few things. Well, first of all, I realized that it was fabulous to quickly read through some of these days and to get all these little flashbacks of memories and situations and of people. And it was a really nice experience. And these are all memories that were sent to my long-term memory. I had not thought about them in years, and so it was nice to revisit. So this made me wonder, why do I insist on keeping this journaling habit so present in my life if I write things and don't necessarily look back very often? I mean, I guess you could say that I keep the journals for if one day I want to read back, but I usually don't. For the amount of writing that I do, in comparison to the amount of reading that I do of those journals, it doesn't make sense that I would dedicate so much of my time to it. So it left me thinking for a while, and I had to write about it. Writing, I've known this always, I've said this always, it helps me process, it helps me gain perspective. But what I hadn't noticed about writing is that it's a very particular kind of situation. I don't know if situation is the right word for it, but it's the ability to think out loud with the sound on mute. The ability to think out loud with the sound on mute. Because even when you talk to yourself out loud, I feel that, well, I should speak for myself, first of all, not say you. When I talk to myself out loud, which I confess I do sometimes, I think just hearing my voice in a room, like echo back and hearing like the sound returning to me as I speak, changes my perspective. So it's not just how I feel and what I'm thinking about, but I'm also thinking of what somebody else potentially hearing this would think about me and would feel about what I am saying. So it's not just my thoughts, it is already involving an external, non-present entity. So I don't know, it's different. And it's also different than when, for example, you go to therapy where you're talking to somebody that is completely impartial, somebody that you can say anything to that will not be hurt or will not be affected by what you're saying, will not try to solve your problems. They're just a sounding board. But even if they're an impartial sounding board, you still have the awareness that it's somebody else looking at you. It's another pair of eyes looking at you, and what are they seeing? What do they think about you? So it's, don't get me wrong, I think therapy is fantastic and I would go every week if I could afford it. I absolutely love therapy and speaking about my feelings. So it can be a very wonderful process to have a neutral sounding board. But I feel that there's really no other way to get this same kind of relief and space to work out your own thoughts in silence so that you don't even judge yourself by hearing back your own voice. I don't know, there's nothing like it. There's really nothing like it. And I think that realizing this just made me love writing all the more and made me understand why I feel so stubborn about trying to find time for my journaling always, and why I put it before any other positive habit. It's writing first and foremost, always. And going back to the beginning of the podcast, this familiar feeling of I'm losing my days made me remember a song I wrote called In the Darkness. And it's a song that's about writing and how powerful writing has been in my life. And there's a part in the lyrics that says, I finally stopped losing my days because you taught me to see through the haze. And that's writing. That line is, well, the whole song is about writing, but that's a very clear way that I can show you how what I write in songs usually comes from something very specific that I've lived. So it was, a moment where I was losing my days. I sat down, wrote a daily log, and that helped me get a grip on things and start noticing and appreciating things. So I'm gonna play a little bit of the song for you.
You always find me when I falter and fall in the darkness, in the darkness. You're my light when I'm caved in, lost and stop losing my days, 'cause you taught me to see through the haze, lifting my heart and my mind to bring my demons down to size.
So if you were familiar with this song before, I hope it makes a little bit more sense now. This is why I really love songwriting, because it ties my love for writing to my love for music in this combination that is just magical. And I imagine it's like some people that keep beautiful scrapbooks with pictures and mementos and everything. It's the same kind of a feeling when I hear these songs, because they clearly remind me of moments in my life. And I'm really happy that I have so many of these moments captured in songs, and I really hope to continue doing that throughout my life. So this is another cool thing to happen because of the podcast and because of this mindset that I am in because of the podcast. So thank you guys for listening. And I do have a suggestion. Well, first of all, I have a question. Do you journal or do you not? Yes or no? And then if you don't, I invite you. That sounds like I'm asking you to do something. I don't want to ask you anything. I suggest, or I share the idea of, if you're somebody that sits down and looks at a blank page and is like, I don't know what to write about, just try, if you want, just write about why you don't write. And you can sit there and write, I just hate writing since elementary school. I have terrible penmanship, or I feel very self-conscious, or I feel very whatever. Write whatever you want for a few minutes, however much you want to write. Just do the action of putting pencil or pen to paper and see how it feels. And then the other thing I would suggest is try keeping a daily log just for one day. Write everything you do and look it over at the end of the day. And if you can do that for a week, that's even better. And you can look back at the week and realize that you are doing things, you are living. So yeah, do the exercise just this once, or not. I'd be the worst teacher. I'd be like, kids, do your homework or not, however you want. Thank you so much for listening, you guys. I hope you have a fantastic rest of the week, and I will see you back here for episode 4.